So many women do not feel safe to receive love because I've either got wounding in the feminine or wounding in the masculine energies. And when we heal our relationship with receiving love, we can also heal our relationship with receiving money. Where are there also unmade decisions that are keeping you in an energy of waiting? Hello everybody, welcome to the Lucy Superfox Show. My name is Lucy Superfox and this is my podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be diving into how to finally break the cycle of being broke and how to step into manifesting and magnetizing that wealth so that you can step into your wealthy, healthy and abundant era. So let's dive in. So let's first talk about what it really means to be broke. And the truth is I have got a ton of experience. So I found myself at 28, and there's no irony in this at all, that I was in 28 grand's worth of credit card debt, wanted to leave my corporate job, and was just like, how the hell am I going to do this? But I also knew that staying in my corporate salary of 40k a year was never going to allow me to scale to the kind of income levels that one, I'd ever really get out of debt, and two, that I would be able to live this big vision, dream, beautiful life. So I witnessed and recognized that I was going to have to do something different, right? I was going to have to, in order to get something different, we have to do something different. But more than anything, I had to become somebody different. So me walking away and leaving corporate life, seems like an obvious thing to do. Like, oh, you want to go be a coach, leave your corporate job. But the truth was, it was a forced hand. I knew that if I was ever going to get out of this cycle of being broke, ever get out of like what they often call the middle class trap, that I was going to have to be someone else and do something else and create from a different energy in a different space. So leaving my corporate job was the first step to that. Now, my strong advice for anybody who wants to walk away from a corporate job is to have something already set up or to have 6 to 12 months of your full life paid for in the bank. So either or, you've either got the cash in the bank ready for the mindset and the space, or you've got something else you've been building alongside that is ready to carry you through into that next era. Because one of the challenges I often see is that young budding business owners, kind of take the leap, but maybe haven't quite built the foundations in their business. And when the money isn't then reciprocated instantly, we make it, mean something about us, about our worth, about our success, about what's possible. And you often see people a lot in the fitness space, particularly, dive into self-employed life, back into employed, into self-employed, back into employed. And it's because we haven't actually built those foundations of safety that allow us to truly get out of that energy of broke into that energy of wealth and abundance. So that's my first strong tip, is get the practical stuff in order. Now, one thing that really, really shocked me this week, that exactly on this topic, was I am working with clients inside my Growth Accelerator program. The 6-week shift is closed for enrollment right now. There is a waitlist for 2025. You can get that by going to lucysuperfox.com/waitlist. But working with the clients inside that program, and I realized how few of them are intimate with their money, despite the fact that their goals are to earn more money, to receive more money, to live a big life, to step into this big financial era. A lot of them are in the financial position that they don't actually know the ins and outs and details of their money, either because it's managed by a partner or because actually money goes up and down and they actually just don't really have that intimate relationship. And one of the biggest shifts and lessons for me, going from that kind of really breaking the cycle of being broke into that kind of abundance era, was the fact that I got intimate with my money. Now, it's not about overanalyzing and controlling, but being intimate with your money looks like knowing what goes in, knowing what goes out, having a sense of how much overall you, I'm going to say inverted commas, need, right? How much you need to pay for everything you currently have at the life that you currently have. How much is owed in repayments, in credit cards, in store cards? How much is committed to personal spend like food and fuel? And I think getting really clear on these things is a really, really important exercise. And I actually have a budget sheet. I'm also going to drop this inside the money program as well, because I feel like I made this week and I think it's a really important step. So if you haven't already dug into kind of finding about the money program, you can do that by going to lucysuperfox.com/money. It's on sale until the 24th of November 2024. And if you want to get the free money masterclass, which is available all the time, you can go to lucysuperfox.com/money masterclass. Point being, you've got to get intimate with your money and get a sense of what's going in when, how much you need to have in the account, what costs what, because often we say things blanketly like we want more money, we want to create more wealth, we want to create more abundance, but we're not respecting and nurturing the money that we already have. And one of the big shifts that really happened for me that transformed a lot of my relationship with money was I stopped seeing money as something that money owed me something, and I started seeing money more like a relationship, more like an open conversation, and we had to work together to get things done. And if you look at your maybe romantic relationship or maybe a business partnership that you have, there's likely some similarities in that. And so I really modeled my relationship with money on the relationship I have with my now husband, in terms of the way we communicate, in terms of the way that we say things, in terms of how open we are with our expression. And that is because I knew that if I was really ever going to shift into the financial kind of wealth and abundance I actually wanted, then a big part of that was going to come from feeling safe to receive. So many women do not feel safe to receive love because we have either got wounding in the feminine or wounding in the masculine energies. And look, I could go into this. That's their whole podcast in themselves. So I will definitely dive into future episodes. But there's so much wounding in the masculine and the feminine energies from childhood trauma. And look, childhood trauma itself is, we often think, oh, my childhood was great. I said that all the time. And childhood trauma is not about one traumatic event happening to us or these extreme acute events that we think of. Trauma is just what happened inside the body and inside the nervous system as we went through life. And if you had a sensitive nervous system or you weren't able to regulate your emotions, then you ultimately experience things and they become traumatizing to your nervous system. So you could be in a situation right now where it's not safe for you to receive love, or it's not safe for you to receive money because it wasn't safe to receive that attention as a child because it was given and then taken away, or because you never knew when mum was going to be home from work, or it was only conditional on your behavior, so how well behaved you were. And so this often creates this feeling of it's not safe to receive, and it's an energy state, not a belief, but that energy state of not being safe to receive can block us off from receiving love, but also block us off from receiving abundance. But equally, when we heal our relationship with receiving love, we can also heal our relationship with receiving money, because receivership is about being open to receiving. And I think a lot of people believe that, the answer to getting out of being broke and breaking the cycle is just making more money. And the answer is actually being a receiver, is being in the energy of I can receive. I can receive this, first of all. And secondly, I can then hold this. And thirdly, I can release this and know that I am safe. And so this is where kind of breaking out of being broke is not just about making more money. It's a 3-step process. And that 3-step process is simply that. We receive, we hold, and we release. And when we find ourselves more comfortable and safe with that process, this is when we can scale the amounts that we're comfortable to receive, to hold, and to release. Now, these 3 things are based on the 3 rules that I break down inside the Energetics of Money Masterclass. So you can get that for free by going to lucysuperfox.com/money masterclass. So if we're really going to break free from being broke, then like I said, receivership is the key. Our ability to receive, our openness and willing to receive. And so many of us aren't even willing to receive a compliment. You said, oh, that's a nice dress. Oh, thank you so much. It's only from Primark. Or you say something like, oh, your hair looks nice. And you think, oh, thanks, I washed it. Like, we just want to put ourselves down all the time. And if you are that person, then the likelihood is you have a complicated relationship with receiving. And I can pretty much guarantee you potentially have a complicated relationship with money, or you have a relationship with money that is based on fixed agreements. You do this amount of work, you get paid this much money, and that's it. And there is never any more. Normally the people who we look at and we're like, how do they do this? How do they manifest that money? How are they so abundant? How do they find that flow and that energy with money? Is there's a sense of real safety, a safety to receive money, a safety to receive love. And that comes down to fundamentally, number 1, they feel safe in their nervous system. Number 2, they feel safe to be loved, safe to be seen, safe to be heard. So they like themselves, right? And thirdly, that they actually then have a practical way for that money to come to them. So if you have a fixed job that doesn't offer any overtime, doesn't offer any bonuses, you're kind of cutting off the universe's proverbial balls here in terms of being able to give you another way to receive that money. And this is often why we find it in the form of lottery tickets, in the form of gifts from other people. And this is why people get frustrated. They're like, oh, my parents keep gifting me money and I just want to make my own money. And I'm like, that's the path of least resistance, right? And again, one of the 3 rules I break down in the Money Masterclass. But our job then is to, number 1, is to basically become a receiver and feel safe to receive. Our second job is to then do our inner work so that we like ourselves. We're willing to be seen. We're willing to be heard. We're willing to be that channel and that receiver for money. And number 3 is for then to be in the energy of receiving that money as if it's already happened, by having lots of paths of least resistance so the money can just flow. So if you see money a bit like a relationship, like a romantic relationship, if you're the anxious girlfriend or this overbearing, controlling, where have you been? What have you been doing? Who have you been messaging kind of energy, the money feels suffocated and tight, right? And you feel tight and suffocated. Whereas if you're in a relationship where there's epic amounts of trust because you like yourself, you know yourself, you're sure of yourself, so therefore you don't need somebody else to reflect that back to you because you know that about yourself, then often what happens is the money is reflected back in that because we have such a strong sense of self and such a strong sense of self-worth that we receive that worth directly proportional to how we feel about ourselves. Now, you can have a strong sense of self-worth and a completely fucked nervous system, and that's the truth because that was me. But underneath that nervous system work are some deeper beliefs and some deeper trauma that does need to be processed. You know, I've talked at length in the previous episodes about the fact that emotions are energy in motion. And if we are not allowing our emotions and our feelings to be expressed, or we haven't allowed our feelings and emotions from the past to be expressed about when we didn't like ourselves, when we weren't seen, when we weren't loved, when it wasn't safe to receive, if we don't allow those old emotions to process themselves and to express themselves, number one, we'll be triggered and reliving those experiences over and over and over, and they will be recreating our reality. But two, it's very difficult to move forward. And so this is why a huge part of breaking cycles, especially the breaking the cycle of being broke, is being willing to process the stories, the beliefs, and the energy from the past. And this is what we do inside the Money, Master, and Manifest program. It's the program really that breaks down the practical, the spiritual, the emotional, and the mental. So you've got the practical stuff around getting intimate with your money, income streams, understanding where your money's coming from currently, how it could scale, understanding wealth, understanding economics. And then there's the flip side of that, which is all the energy work, the emotional work, the spiritual work, so that you can become a match and an active receiver for that money. Breaking the cycle of being broke is actually breaking the cycle of who you've been in order to become somebody new. And this is why, I talk about this in all of my programs, but specific to money, I think so. This is the kind of really the biggest thing that catches people out is the fact they want more money, but the truth is they're not actually a match for that more money, or they actually don't feel safe to receive that more money. And so there's likely a part of you sat here thinking, I want more money, but what does that mean, not feeling safe? Like, why would I not want more money, Luce? And what I mean by that is that if the money came, here's a great way of telling if you're a safe receiver or a safe channel for money to flow into, is if extra money does come in, if it's gone straight away, you don't feel safe to hold money. If, let's say, the money comes in and you sit on it and you get tight with it, you don't feel safe to release money. And if the money doesn't come in, you don't feel safe to receive money. But if you are finding you have this open channel and flow with money where more money all the time, some of it you hold, some of it you release, then you don't need to listen to this podcast. And you don't need the money course. But if that is not you, if money is not flowing with ease and abundance at the pace you want, where you feel safe to put some in the bank and invest in your future self, and safe to release some into spending and investing into your current self and your future life, and maybe sometimes repaying your past life, if that doesn't feel safe to you, or normal, or easy, or fun, or flowy, then let me tell you, there is another way. When you grasp the 3 rules that I break down inside the Money Masterclass, which you can get at luciesuperfox.com/Money Masterclass, and it's free. So breaking the cycle of being broke is shifting. It's shifting out of who we've been into who we want to become. It's changing our energies. It's changing our ideologies. It's changing our mindset. It's changing our vibration. And I think a lot of us manifest from this energy of manipulation, where we think, I'll control everything. Right, I want to make an extra £3,000 this month, and I've got a product that I sell and it's £100. So what I need to do is I need to sell 30 of them. And look, that's a fair strategy. But what often happens is we get so locked up and tight, right? And fixated on how it's going to come that we actually then block ourselves from being open to receive. A great example of this that I have had before in some of my courses and coaching programs, and this actually happened to me last month, is I had a money goal that I was kind of holding space for, that I was committed to. And actually I was, more than anything, I was really, really committed and sure that I was going to sell out the 6-week shift with 10 full clients. And I was at 7 at the time, and I was like, it's due to end today, but I feel like they're coming. I know they're coming. I've held into this. I've lent into this. I trust myself. I trust my knowing. Anyway, and someone messaged and said they want to sign up, and I was like, cool, that's amazing. Number 8, I knew this was happening. Anyway, and she messaged and said, oh my God, did you know that I can't actually sign up? And sent me this screenshot of this alert that basically it hadn't updated the enrollment window. Even when I changed the times from English time to Pacific time, it hadn't actually done it. So the enrollment basically was technically closed for way longer than it was supposed to be, when it was definitely supposed to be open. And so where this was really insightful for me was actually showing me where I was being controlling and fixated and tight on how I had to receive these people and how they had to come in. And I wasn't actually being smart and open and wise. And I wasn't even checking the payment portal for how that money could come in. And so I shared share this with people so that you know that our job is not to be a match for the how. Our job is not to control the how or, the methods of how the money flows in. Our job is just to be a match for the money to flow in, to be safe to receive, to be safe to hold, and to be safe to release. And we do that through doing our energy work, doing our emotional work, doing our mental work, and doing the practical work. Action is always required. This is not about sitting on our hands and knees, with the legs crossed and going, and hoping for the best. Like, manifesting money is about becoming a match for the money. And breaking the cycle of being broke is being willing to not only become something different, but from that energy of being and becoming something different, to actually then act different and take different action and make different decisions. Something I've been reflecting on lately a lot is that the unmade decisions take up a lot of space in our brain. And like today, I was debating whether or not I was going to buy these pans. And you're going to be like, pans, Luce? I'm like, yeah, basically non-toxic pans, they're extortionate. They're not extortionate, but in the grand scheme of how much money I've ever spent on pans, they're extortionate. But they're low tox, they've got a long life. And I've been thinking about it for ages. They launched a Black Friday sale today and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm going to access the same things for less money. That makes me feel so abundant. And then I couldn't commit or decide between whether I got 4 pans or 2 pans. I'm telling you this story because so you know that I'm real. And actually I realized I had allowed that to take up space in my brain all fucking day. I was like, that has been taking up space that needed to create, that needed to design, that needed to have ideas and thoughts and write an email and reach out to that previous client and check in on her, and that needed to, do something else. And I allowed that to percolate and take up space. And so this is what's happening around money, is when we are debating and questioning and doubting and around spending something, saving something, investing something, what then happens is we just are in this energy of waiting, this energy of not being a clear channel to receive, because we're in this indecision, this gray area, right? It's like stuck energy or blocked energy. And so a lot of people, when they are thinking about, oh, do I invest in this program? Do I invest in this course? Oh, I'm not sure. And you're in the energy of waiting. The irony is, if you invested in the program, invested in yourself, and you actually lent in and trusted that decision, you probably rewarded in some capacity with that money in a very quick succession, right? Because that's what you're available for. Just like when people want to upgrade something in their house, right? And we doubt and we overthink it and we question it and we go round in circles. Actually, when you make that decision, you feel so much better. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, painting that wall was the right move. So where are there also unmade decisions that are keeping you in an energy of waiting, keeping you in an energy of unsure? Our time is the only commodity we can't get back, right? We can spend money, we can make more money. And, we can go do the thing and then it's not very good and then we do another thing. Or we can buy a product and then we go, oh, it wasn't very good, I'm going to return it. Or can't return it, I'll replace it. Like, money is something that is exchangeable. We all know that. But time is not. And so if there is energy in your mind where you're making unmade decisions about money, about how you invest, about how you earn, about how you receive, these unmade decisions, that is time that you cannot get back. That is energy that you cannot get back. And so when it comes to money, absolutely you want to be behind your decisions, you want to be certain, you want to be in an energy of abundance when you spend, but it's also about getting into the energy of trusting and knowing that when you become a match for money, it will always be returned to you. And so when you then spend from that, it's not from a place of expectation, but from a sense of knowing. That sense of safety means you're an open channel to receive, an open channel to hold, and an open channel to release. So breaking the cycle of being broke is about being willing to become someone different, who vibrates different, who feels different, who thinks different, somebody who makes different decisions, and somebody who acts different, who makes different decisions from that different perspective, and from that different perspective gets different results. Because the version of you right now that's earning 30k a year, 50k a year, 60k a year, 100k a year, 200k a year, they are different versions of you. They have different ideologies, different thought patterns, different energy centers, different emotions, different feelings, and they definitely make different decisions and take different actions. And the difference is not based in what's happening on the outside of them. The difference is what's happening on the inside of them. So right now, if you are finally ready to break the cycle of being broke and you are ready to step into your wealthy, healthy, and abundant era, then you can get the Money Masterclass for free at lucysuperfox.com/Money Masterclass, and you can unlock the money program at a whopping plus 50% off because it's Black Friday window at lucysuperfox.com/money. It is the 5 modules where I walk you through manifesting money, and you've got this forever. So those 5 steps to use over and over and over for your next money goal. It's about moving into that energy of abundance, of safety, of wealth, of kind of that vibe of more than enough, and moving out this energy of broke, of struggling, of suffering, of waiting, and moving into the energy of having, being, doing, and creating. creating so that your wealthy era is no longer just an idea, it becomes a reality. So I hope you loved this episode. I loved sharing with you, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.